Motor FIM Superbike World Championship returned to Hungary for the first time since 1990 with the inaugural visit to the new Balaton Park circuit last July. It's located just an hour's drive away from Budapest Airport on the outskirts of the capital. But before we set our sat-navs, one more race remains at the 2026 Motor Hungarian Round. Inaugurated in 2023, the Balaton Park circuit is the most modern venue we visit, but also the most technical. Its longest straight measures just 665 metres, and there are 17 corners across its 4-kilometre distance, making it demanding on brakes and front tyre. The main overtaking hotspot here is the longest braking zone, some 5.6 seconds into turn 1, where Iker Lecuona made his passes on Oliveira, Montella and Surra for second yesterday. On the opening lap in particular, keep an eye on turn 2 as well, where Baldassarri barged his way past Montella this morning. And turn 5, the heaviest braking zone on the track, riders shedding 200 kph in just 200 metres. Turns 9 and 10 among a series of chicanes that give the circuit its tight and twisty characteristics. An average speed of just 149 kilometres per hour for Nicolo Bulliga's fastest lap in this morning's Tissot Superpole race. This weekend, the first time the SCX tyre has been available at this venue, and over a second taken off the previous race lap record. Every winning run must come to an end. For Jonathan Rea, it was a Qatar sandstorm that saw the last race of 2018 cancelled with his winning run at 11. Alvaro Bautista took over in 2019 with 11 of his own before Rea stopped him at 11 in a row, going on to take the most remarkable of titles. For Toprak Razgatlioglu, it was injury at Manicur in 2024 and then defeat to Nicolo Bulliga that stopped him at 13. And this morning, it looked to all the world as though Bulliga's run would be ended at 14 as he was barged out of the way at the first turn by Jari Montella, then made a mistake of his own at turn 5 and was relegated back to 10th with main rival Iker Lecuona already up to second. A reminder that anything can happen in World SBK. Steve English alongside me, ultimately a crash at turn 6 involving Sam Lowes, Andrea Locatelli and Miguel Oliveira forced out the red flags, an opportunity Bulliga took with both hands. But until then, we were looking at a Lecuona victory, or at very least an exciting Bulliga recovery. And now the pair start side by side for the first time this weekend for race 2 of the 2026 Motor Hungarian Round.
Yeah, I think if we don't have that red flag, it would be very difficult to see how Bulliga would have been able to come through for the race victory. As it was in the restarted race, he was quite comfortable in those early laps. But this is going to be a little bit different. Bulliga and Lecuona on the front row of the grid together. They might be teammates, but Lecuona will know this is his chance to win a race, and he wants to make sure he's able to grab it with both hands. A quick start and an attack into turn 1. That has to be the order of the day for Iker Lecuona.
This morning we finished with the same factory 1-2 that we've had since race 1 in Portimao. Lorenzo Baldassarri claiming his first rostrum finish since the first race of the season in Phillip Island with third. The third consecutive race that the Barni Ducatis have finished 4th and 5th. This time Alvaro Bautista ahead of Jari Montella, and Alberto Surra claiming his best result yet in 6th. Best of the rest behind them, Alex Lowes in 7th. Garrett Gerloff up into the top 10 for the first time since race 1 of the Portuguese round. Taz McKenzie with his third top 10 finish in 5 races. So 7 Ducatis in the top 10 and another top 6 lockout for the Bologna manufacturer this morning.
Yeah, the V4R is still the bike to beat, and certainly in this race that'll be the case as well. But we'll wait and see who's able to be the closest challengers to them. That best of the rest has been fought out pretty hard this weekend, but with no Miguel Oliveira on the grid and Daniel Petrucci also sidelined, that takes away 2 of the BMWs, which then means you're waiting to see what happens with the likes of Alex Lowes on the Bimoda. He had a good scrap with Garrett Gerloff on the Kawasaki earlier on today.
We make our way in then to see our championship leader, Nicolo Bulliga, still undefeated in 2026 so far. Also took the last 4 races of last season. So that is 11 out of 11 this season so far, and 15 consecutive victories for Nicolo Bulliga. But the Tissot Superpole race earlier on today, the narrowest winning margin in that spell. The first time this season that anyone's been within a second of Nicolo Bulliga.
Yeah, and for Bulliga, you can see there he's still relaxed down the pit box, and there's been moments this weekend whenever he's talked about how difficult it is on this bike at this track for him, but he's still able to get the job done. And in this morning's Superpole race, You could see him celebrating that success. But look at how close Iker Lecuona was. In the second half of the race, Lecuona was closing back up on Bulaga. In a 21-lap race, Iker's going to feel that he's got a real chance.
He was closing in the second half of race 1 yesterday, but had too much work to do, having been relegated down to 8th position by a 3-place penalty. From 5th in the Tissot Superpole race, he was 2nd by turn 2 after some rough justice between Baldassarri and Montella, both of them practically connecting and running wide. And he was faster again in the latter stages. But now we find out how much of that was Bulaga managing his pace and how much Lecuona really is an equal match for Bulaga around this venue.
Iker was fastest in both sessions on Friday. They changed the bike ahead of Superpole. He didn't like how the balance was after that. But the penalty in race 1 to start from 8th on the grid meant that he never had a chance in race 1 really to be able to fight with his teammate. The Superpole race, he did a good job from the middle of the second row to be up inside the top 2 spots on lap 1. But once that gap stretched out to over a second, it was always going to be difficult for him. But 21 laps is going to be a very different battle and a very different fight.
And particularly because he'll be starting alongside him on the front row. He did make back 2 seconds from a 4.5 second margin to a 2.5 second margin in race 1 yesterday afternoon. 10 laps Lecuona posted faster than Nicolo Bulaga. Well, at the top of this weekend, we thought that this man Sam Lowes could be on for 3 podiums to match his efforts from Assen last time out, but it really hasn't gone to plan for Lowes. There was a 3-rider crash in the first attempt at completing the Superpole race this morning, and damage to the bike for Lowes unfortunately meant that he struggled towards the back of the field.
Yeah, his quick shifter got broken in it, and then in the restart you can see that he was having an issue there, just trying to figure out what it was. Still got the bike to the flag, but never really able to show his true potential in the Superpole race. Did say after the race as well that he felt it was a tough penalty for Locatelli. He thought it was a little bit harsh for what he viewed as being a racing incident out there as well, and I think a lot of people in the paddock thought the same. And for Locatelli, obviously, it relegated him right down the field. For Lowes, it left him with this damage to the bike. Ultimately, the team said that they weren't able to spot the problem because of how it's the parts are designed and how they're protected as well. So ultimately, that's a shame for them.
Miguel Oliveira unfortunately ruled out as a result of that collision with a concussion and a left shoulder injury, and you can see he does take a fair hit immediately. We saw him stretchered away, unfortunately, from the circuit to go to the local hospital. And fingers crossed he is fit enough to take his place in Most next time out. But he'll miss out on 2 races on Sunday here at the Balaton Park circuit. And again, we see from all the different angles, this is what happens.
Yeah, you can see Miguel straight away limp on the track, and he's been taken off to hospital. Should be fine for the next round in Most, you'd imagine. But shame for Miguel, because you did have the chance to be able to come away with something. You can see there for Giulio Nava just explaining to Locatelli. I don't think Andrea needs to keep being reminded of the crash, because it led to a double long lap penalty and relegated him right down the order. But he'll start from the 4th row of the grid, courtesy of his Superpole time.
Yes, Andrea Locatelli doing a good job with P6 in the Superpole session originally. Came home 7th in race 1, and that's just about the target, isn't it, really, as far as Yamaha are concerned. Back with BMW. And unfortunately for them, they'll have no riders on track this afternoon, because Danilo Petrucci has also been withdrawn following the Superpole race earlier on today. So with 2 riders down on the grid, and both of them the BMW's missing out.
Yeah, you can see that contact there with Balaton Sofoglu, where Sofoglu hits into the left hip. And that's what's ruled out Petrucci from the action. We saw him have a crash on the exit of this corner on Friday, and then now into turn 2 he has that incident in the restart of the race. But everyone was tripping up over each other all the way through those opening couple of corners. This is Baton down in his pit box, and you can see for him he'll offer his apologies, but ultimately that's the layout of the track, and that's what led to the incident for Locatelli and Oliveira and Lowes as well earlier in the day too. So this is just one of the situations that can arise around this place.
Yeah, tough weekend for Bahatin Sofoglu, beaten by teammate Mattia Ratto in the Superpole race earlier on today. This is Lorenzo Baldassarri, completed the podium in the Superpole race earlier on, and what a recovery that was, considering that he was flying through the gravel trap at almost 200 kilometres an hour in race 1 yesterday afternoon, turn 8 spill, I should say. Originally qualified in 2nd position, so to get up onto the podium, good work, and he makes use of that grid position, and he'll have a front row start again for race 2 this afternoon.
Yeah, a little bit of bowling ball Balda there down in 2, because you can see he lost control a little bit and then makes that contact with Montella. They both get pushed out wide. He was able to recover from it and come away with that podium finish. So really good to be able to see that for Balda, because this time yesterday, after they had that crash, the Go11 team didn't really expect that he was going to be fit for the race.
And really good to see as well, because Phillip Island, we've had weird results at that track over the years, but to do it in Europe, to do it here at the Balaton Park circuit, to beat Montella, to beat Bautista, genuinely for pace on track, Baldassarri doing really well. He will come under pressure from the riders behind Bautista and Montella in particular for the rostrum spots here this afternoon, but there's certainly one up for grabs, not least because of the withdrawal of Miguel Oliveira. And as you said, Steve, we might have 6 Ducatis in the top 6 positions on the grid, but there's also a question mark as to who might be best of the rest, and Alex Lowes will be the favourite there, perhaps starting on row number 3, P7 on the grid for Lowes.
Yeah, it's been 6-7 for him in the course of the running so far this weekend, and again for Lowes you have that ability to consistently grind out results. He doesn't make many mistakes on the Bimota. The bike is clearly where he's having to ride it right on the limit at all times, but that's also part of the fun of watching World Superbikes, to see riders have to do that. I think for Lowes he'd obviously prefer to have a little bit of help as well. Reminder
of the tyre allocation, and no differences between the riders in yesterday's race 1, and no surprises there. Everyone electing to go with the Supersoft SCX tyre. Pirelli bringing the softest allocation with them to Balaton Park this weekend. Has been a little bit more aggressive, speaking to a couple of the teams on the tyres, than perhaps they were anticipating, and that's the reason that nobody went for the Q tyre in the Superpole race earlier on today.
Yeah, it's just about being able to get that longevity out of it, and obviously in the Superpole race it doesn't always have to use that Q tyre.
For the 12th consecutive race this season, Nicolo Bulliger will start from pole, but for the first time this weekend, Iker Lekwona starts alongside him in P2, having served a 3-place penalty in race 1, qualified 5th and moved up 3 places in the Superpole race. Lorenzo Baldassarri drops 1 position to 3rd to complete the front row. Jari Montella down 2 spots to 5th, with Alvaro Bautista moving up from 9th to 4th to pass his teammate this morning. Alex Lowes is best of the rest outside of the Ducati top 6, while Garrett Gerloff has his best starting position since race 2 of the Australian round, and Taz McKenzie his best starting position of 2026. Andrea Locatelli and Sam Lowes, the two of the riders, I should say, involved in the Superpole race crash, both missing out on the top 9, and we're reduced to a 20-rider grid without both BMWs here.
Yeah, and obviously for the riders here, they'll know that it's all about being able to make that fast start and give yourself the opportunities in the race, but we've already seen plenty of action on the opening laps of the races across all 3 classes here this weekend, and I think for Nicolo Bulliger, all he'll be looking for is a clean run towards turn 1 and then just live to fight through the race. But for Bulliger, he got a good reminder this morning of how easily things can go wrong.
So other than the top 2 positions, where maybe Lekwona outbreaks Bulliger into turn 1, maybe just sends it regardless of whether he's close enough, where else do we expect the main changes in the pecking order to be? Because Baldassarri had a fair margin of comfort ahead of Bautista earlier on today, and he wasn't really a top 2 contender. So do we expect Baldassarri to take another podium here, or do we expect that in the second half of the race the likes of Bautista and Montella should be able to get through on the Go11 man?
I think that crash yesterday, he'll feel more of the effects in this 21-lap race after already racing this morning, so that could be a factor for Balda. Your neck can take quite a beating in a crash like that, and that makes it quite difficult then when you get into the second race. Bautista, he should be a contender for the podium, but needs to make a fast start, and then you're waiting to see if anyone else is able to make a jump. But ultimately, it looks like the Arup Ducatis have that step.
Well, it is already the 12th race of the 2026 season, and all 12 of them have seen Nicolo Bulliger on pole position. Fastest in Superpole yesterday, unbeaten in the Superpole award still after winning the Tissot Superpole race this morning. He has won both races so far this weekend, but if there's any circuit where he has a little bit of a weakness, it might be here at Balaton Park. Alongside him, Iker Lekwona, hoping to take advantage. Originally qualified in P5, had a 3-place penalty in race 1, but still came back into 2nd place. Last 2 rounds as well, he's been 2nd in every race. He's at very least will be hoping to make it 9 out of 9, but this is the best shot he's yet had to really chase and fight Nicolo Bulliger.
Exactly, and this is the chance to win a race for Lekwona. When you look back at his Moto2 career, his MotoGP career, his Superbike career, he's never won a race at World Championship level, so this is his chance to do that.
Lorenzo Baldassarri 3rd on the grid, originally qualified in P2. There was a 0.6 of a second margin though to Nicolo Bulliger, certainly the dominant force, even if Lekwona's a little bit closer this weekend. For Lorenzo Baldassarri, super performance in the Superpole race, big margin over Alvaro Bautista, taking the final step on the podium, his first rostrum finish since race 1 in Phillip Island. And yes, the Ducatis have been performing brilliantly, but for Baldassarri to beat a 2-time world champ to get onto the rostrum he'll be delighted with that.
Yeah, Balaton rode so well in the opening race of the day, and this one's going to be a different challenge for him, but ultimately a podium, a front row start from the Superpole session. He's done a really good job this weekend.
Yeah, keep track position ahead of Bautista in the early laps, try and open a gap when Bautista's at his weakest, when the fuel load is high and the weight is a bigger issue for him. Alvaro Bautista starting from 4th position on the grid. He's had 2 top 5 finishes this weekend so far, and obviously had a weekend of 4th places in Assen last time out. But we know Bautista's target is going to be the podium, and now that he's up in 4th position on the grid, if he can hold that position early on, he gives himself a chance to at least get 3rd place in the second half of this race.
Yeah, and that has to be the goal for him, because Alvaro does have the pace in the second half of the race, and now that we're well over 42 degrees track temperature, it's also hotter than it's been through the course of the running so far. That's going to play to his strength as well.
Yari Montella will start from 5th position. This is Alberto Surra, who completes row number 2. Originally qualified in P8, and that's where he finished in race 1, but really provided some sparks getting through to 2nd place, battling for all he was worth as he tumbled gradually back through the field. 8th in race 1, 6th in the Superpole race, his best result yet.
Yeah, if he can come away with a top 10 finish, it's a really good weekend for Alberto, and that'll give the Moto Corsa team a big lift going into the busy run that we have in May and early June.
As we move on to the 3rd row of the grid, Alex Lowe's for the Bimota outfit, just talking with Sam ahead of race 2 this afternoon. Alex best of the rest with 6th position in race 1 and 7th in the Superpole race. Having qualified P10, he has made a step forward.
Yeah, and Alex just riding as well as he can on that Bimota, doesn't make mistakes. He knows that ultimately he needs to be the best of the rest behind the Ducatis. If he picks off a scalp or two, the likes of Surra and maybe one of the Barney bikes, he's done really well.
Completing 3rd row of the grid, Garrett Gerloff and Taz McKenzie. Chris, if you're still with us, let's head down to you on the grids.
Yeah, thanks very much, guys. I'm just here with Sam. Sam, it didn't go your way this morning. Bit of bad luck on one side. You still saw the checkered flag. Can you just talk us through that and then your expectations for today?
Yeah, obviously the Superpole race is everyone's eager to make positions on the first laps, and yeah, we're coming together with Locker and Miguel. It was one of them. I was on the racing line. They went deep, came back. It was 50-50. I'm surprised that Locker got a penalty. Honestly, I felt like it was a racing incident. So hopefully Miguel is okay. I send my regards to him. Yeah, obviously after that in the restart we had a problem with the bike, so we just rode around to finish, which is a shame. And starting back here, we just have to do what we can in the first laps and try and bring on some good points.
Good luck today.
Well, a little bit of local flavour with Hungarian folk music ahead of this race 2. It is the climax of the weekend, and that is your pre-show down on the grid. We're continuing to work our way through. We were at the 3rd row. We'd just seen Alex Lowe's before we broke off to hear from brother Sam. Garrett Gerloff lining up in P8 here. He was 13th in race 1. Gerloff 14th in the championship, but scoring in both races of the weekend so far, just as he did in Phillip Island 3 times at the start of the season.
Yeah, and for Gerloff again with that Kawasaki, a good performance by by him to be able to put himself up there into the points paying positions yesterday, and then the same again in the Superpole race. So he needs to try and come away with a top 10, and it's a really good weekend.
Completing that third row of the grid, Taz Mackenzie. Mackenzie getting back into the top 10 again earlier on today, 9th place in the Superpole race, and 2 scoring rides for him this weekend. His first points over the 10-lap distance in 2026.
Yeah, Taz and Garrett were parked beside each other in the car park as we were arriving today, and they're parked beside each other on the grid now. But certainly for Mackenzie, to get that point was really important, because that gives you that third row of the grid for this race. And ultimately, he needs to make a good start and then see if he's able to give himself a chance to be able to come away with some decent points. Rode well yesterday.
Yeah, he was top 10 in both of the long races in Assen as well, and should have been top 10 in race 1-2, but for being picked off 2 places lost in the final 3 laps. Andrea Locatelli will lead the 4th row of the grid from P10, originally qualified in P6, but a double long lap penalty for that collision earlier on today leaves him on row 4. Sam Lowe's also on row 4 after problems following that crash. Interesting to hear from Sam saying 50-50. I think that's pretty much what we said at the time. We were surprised to see a penalty.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where you can watch that incident 10 or 15 times and it's still very difficult to apportion where the blame is. So Locatelli will feel aggrieved. Nice to be able to see that his rival's able to offer a bit of support to it. But ultimately, once the penalty's given, you have to serve it.
Remains to be seen what the potential is here for Sam Lowe's. He'll be keen to make a fast start and bring himself back into the mix with the other independent Ducatis in podium contention. Completing the 4th row of the grid, Remy Gardner, yet to break into the top 10 this weekend. He was 11th earlier on. We saw a good bit of comeback from him, but outside of the points in race 1 yesterday, qualified P14. He's up 2 spots, obviously losing Miguel Oliveira from the grid, helping him there.
Yeah, it is important to be able to come away with a decent finish now for Remy. We saw that he was in the middle of that big group battling it out outside the points in the Superpole race, so they'll all think that there's a chance of finishing maybe in the top 10 and 10th position as their target for this race.
5th row of the grid for Axel Bassani, Tommy Bridewell and Xavi Vierque. Bassani still looking for his first points of this weekend. After a great start to the season at the opening round, he's lost 1 position in the championship in each subsequent race and now finds himself down in 7th overall. Only scored 7 at the Dutch round last time out, and he'll be disappointed seeing Alex Lowe's again 2 rows ahead of him on the grid.
Yeah, that's the big thing, is just the qualifying performances have been poor for Bassani, and that conditions your weekend. Lowe's is riding really well on the Bermuda. Bassani's riding okay, but he'll know he needs to make a step.
Tommy Bridewell here on row number 5, just picking up some points will be the target for him. He's on 8 so far, scored 3 in race 2 of the Portuguese round, 3 in race 1 of the Dutch round, and 2 points for 14th position yesterday. So top 10 the target. He was 12th in the Superpole race this morning.
Yeah, I met Tommy on the way into the paddock on Thursday. He's really relaxed about joining World SBK, and he's doing a decent job with that Advocates team as well. They've adapted well to it.
Completing row number 5 is Xavi Vierque. 2 10th place finishes for him, so close to making it into the top 9 and therefore improving by a couple of rows on the grid. He will start here from P15, having originally qualified in 17th. Of course, we lost the 2 BMWs, so everyone promoted further back.
Yeah, a couple of top 10 finishes for him, and that'll be the target in this race as well. He can be the top Yamaha again, and that certainly is a decent target having his head.
6th row of the grid for Mattia Ratto. Beat teammate Bahatin Safoglu in the Superpole race earlier on today. Honestly, that's the only yardstick as far as Ratto is concerned. Beat him once in Assen as well, so it's starting to come a little bit for him, at least by that metric in comparison with his teammate.
Qualified well too compared to all the other Yamaha riders. That's why he's ahead of Manzi on the grid, ahead of Safoglu, close to Xavi Vierge as well.
And Stefano Manzi here starts from P17, having originally qualified in 19th spot. Picked up a single point in race 1 yesterday. He's only on 9 points this season, 5 of them from race 2 of the Portuguese round. So it's been a bit of a baptism of fire. Think back to July when he was winning for fun here at the Hungarian round in Supersport. Completing that row number 6 is Bahatin Safoglu, and then the 2 Hondas on the back, Somkiat Chantra and Yuki Kuni. This is our opportunity with 3 minutes until the warm-up lap to head back down to the grid.
Yeah, thanks guys. I'm here with Sven Blusch, the head of motorsport at BMW. Sven, it's a weekend that promised much for BMW, but unfortunately we're 2 bikes short on the grid today. First of all, how are the guys and what's the mood in the camp?
Yeah, I think this is the most important thing at the moment, that under the circumstances of the heavy crash, that the injuries, they still in the hospital checking, but Miguel is, in a, I don't want to say good mood, but for sure, I think we are on the way to recovery now to think about when he can come back. But first, we need more information at the moment from the hospital. On Danilo's side at the moment, we didn't want to risk anything. The medical center declared him unfit. Tough day in the office for us, but in the end, the most important thing is the health of the riders, and the decisions which were taken were absolutely the right one.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you out there next time.
Yeah, disappointing for BMW, of course, and particularly for Miguel Oliveira, obviously, in the context of his battle for bronze this season. He's 4 points behind Sam Lowes. The advantage for him, of course, is that Lowes didn't score in the Superpole race either today. But Alex Lowes has closed up a few points. Alvaro Bautista has closed up 6. So there are now just 13 points from position 3 to 6 in the World Championship. Axel Bassani dropping down to 7th. He is 9 points behind Alvaro Bautista. So that's your 20-rider grid. We're down those 2 BMWs, the 2 Hondas at the back of the field on row number 7. More opportunities for point scoring further down the order, but up at the front, it's an all Ducati front 2 rows of the grid. Bautista, Montella, Surra on row 2. Your front row, Nicolo Bolliger versus Iker Lecuona, and Lorenzo Baldassari completing the lead trio away in race 2. He will believe there is a real chance of ending Bolliger's 15-race winning run. Alex Raby and Steve English for race 2 of the 2026 Motul Hungarian round. Steve, we've thought all weekend long that the visit to the Balaton Park circuit offers the best chance of seeing Bolliger's streak come to an end. The climax of this weekend is the last chance for Iker Lecuona here in Hungary, at least.
Yeah, just on the run down to turn 1, you can see Alberto Surra there in the 67. He's using all of these runs from the grid to proper practice start, so watch out for him on the run into turn 1 on lap 1. This is the instant hot spots on the opening lap. We saw in the Superpole race this morning just how perilous it can be. Bolliger got pushed out wide before there were red flags later on. That's why we've no BMWs on the grid, both of them ruled out through injury. But for Nicola Bolliger, he saw this morning just how big of a risk there can be in those races, so he'll know to be on guard for this one. Iker Lecuona is going to know this is his chance to win a race.
And how does Bolliger approach the first turn? Because if Lecuona just maintains the gap into that first bend, he's letting off the brake, he's making sure he comes through.
If you're passive, you're going to be under pressure through turn 1. We've already seen that across the different classes this weekend. You need to be aggressive, but most importantly, you need to be assertive into turn 1. Down into that run, obviously Jari Montella was from the front row of the grid in this morning's races, but you could see that if someone breaks that little bit too deep, they can get a little bit unsettled and they can push riders around. We saw that Miguel Oliveira, he had contact in turns 2 and turn 5, obviously with the big crash, but it's very easy to get involved in someone else's incident in those first couple of corners.
Yes, and Nicolo Bolliger will start in pole position, obviously, but he can't legislate for what the other riders around him might do. There is Jari Montella. He'll be starting this one from 5th position. Baldassari, the spoiler, up with the factory Ducatis, but it should be the case that we have a fight for 3rd and then a separate one for 3rd position.
Yeah, you can't legislate for what happens in turn 1, but you can mitigate against it as well by not leaving yourself on the outside through those first couple of corners. So that's where Bolliger has a bit of a strategy to decide. It's also where Iker Lecuona has a strategy to decide, because ultimately for Iker, he'll want to go out there and win this race, and that means into turn 1, unsettle your teammate.
And Sam Lowes, watch out for him early on as well. He'll be starting from 11th position. He's had pace in the early stages of the weekend to be close at least to Bolliger and Lecuona, but he hasn't delivered the points thus far. Just the 7 points from race 1.